What's going on, guys? It's Club King here with Behind the Business, where we bring people on to talk about their business, how they became to be successful in their business, what to be expected of them in 2025 and further. But this edition, we're doing something slightly different. We're getting behind the message. How about that? We have some amazing guests here. We have Miss Elyse. Welcome.
Hey, everybody.
And we have Mr. Lamont Jones. Thank you guys for being here today.
Super excited.
All right. What brings y'all into this space today?
You know, it's voting season is coming up. There's a lot of seats available, 4 city council seats. This year is a mayoral election here in Harrisburg. So that means there's opportunity for change, right? There are a lot of people running. We are running. I am running. Myself, Elyse Irvis, I'm running for city council. So we're here to talk a lot about that and the future of Harrisburg, for real.
Okay. And what about you, Mr. Lamont Jones?
I say the same thing, man. She's right. It's election season. Every year there's an election. I don't know if people are aware of that. And just want to put a little context to what these elections mean to our city and to us and why we should be involved.
Yeah. So I know you guys in different ways, right? Event organizer, doing your thing with your business. Same thing with you, event organizer. You guys both, we both work together in different capacities with your projects. This is a new light that I'm seeing you guys in that, I'm happy to see. I love seeing people move forward and, take a step in different directions to achieve more, right? And put their skills and talents where they're needed, right? So a question I have, and I'm sure some of the people will have, is why?
I could just I can't sum it up. Got to talk about it a little bit. For me, being a servant, I've been taking in this role for about 15 or 16 years now, and it feels good to help other people, But the need for our city, running for city council, for me, I saw a need for our voices to really be heard. Someone that actually is going to represent us in our issues, and actually do something about it. So that was my why for council. But now, sitting there, I can say, like, honestly, in the first 3 months, I knew that there was something else that needed to be done. Take it a step further and get to a spot where we can actually move some things around. Council is a powerful thing. You control the purse, and you also got an opportunity with the power of the pen. You can write ordinances and resolutions, to better serve the people in the city. However, it gets limited to where we can't enforce anything. That comes from the administration. Council is separate from the administration, meaning we don't work directly for the mayor. We should be working with the mayor. Mm-hmm. However, if people have been paying attention to this current administration and this current council, it's always been a tug of war. And that's not good for the people. We have to actually function as a collective to make sure that we're actually providing the services and needs for the people in the community. So looking from that council seat in the first 3 months, I seen that we needed a stronger administration. We need people that actually want to serve and care about the people that they are serving. So being born and raised from here, I know what we need. I know I see a lot of the deficits out there, and now actually understanding and knowing how government works and how it connects. I decided to throw my hat in the ring and take that step, to provide these things for our people. So, yeah.
Okay. And you? Because you can be doing anything. You can be chilling on the beach, just relaxing and just enjoying life. What makes you want to jump into this? I mean, I kind of know because your energy is like, you know what I'm saying? Let's go. But yeah, tell the people why. What is your why for this?
I want Harrisburg to be better. I want Harrisburg to be great, and I can see it. You can feel it. I've been able to taste it, right? There are a lot of tastemakers in this area, a lot of influencers, and a lot of creatives. There's so much natural things that are beautiful about living in Harrisburg. You get a riverfront. You get the convenience of being central to all these other major hubs. It's easy, quick, and affordable to jump. I could go to Philly in the next 2 hours. Don't need a car. I can jump to Lancaster, which is another arts hub, 45 minutes from here. So there's just, to Lamont's point, there's just a couple pieces that seem to not be connecting. It's like we have what we need. The things that I know I want. When I moved back here in 2017, I didn't think I'd ever want to live in Harrisburg. But I moved back. Circumstances led to me moving back home. And within a year, I had launched a business. And I've been successful at, designing the life that I wanted right here in Harrisburg. Though for so many years as a younger girl, I didn't think I could do. I thought I had to move to New York for that. I thought I had to live in Philly to, have fun, enjoy life outside of work, to even have a certain type of job. You didn't think that they were here in Harrisburg. And I want to change that. I want there to be more businesses, more arts and cultural focus, more things to do for youth and for adults. And for young professionals, the things that you look at those other cities why did I think that about New York and Philly, right? We need to talk and position ourselves as a city, which only really the government can do. That's the job and structure of how cities and states work. So if you want to see a change, you got to make a change. You got to be a part of the change. And that's why I'm running for city council.
So this is a question for both. We kind of identified the problem in a sense, right? Why you, instead of somebody else being the person that could help make change for both you guys, right? Because, as people go out and they vote, obviously you have options to vote for. What makes you the man or the woman for the position that could bring change to Harrisburg, which I think we all would love to see. I feel like everybody's feelings are the same here, right? And sometimes people say, last
what are your feelings on Harrisburg?
Hold on for a second.
Okay, sorry.
You got me off my train. So let's get back to it. Just why you versus somebody else? Why should they go out and vote for Lamont Jones?
I have a proven track record, of servitude in the community, from at-risk youth, from working in the schools, from working with reentry, going into the prisons, changing laws and policies in the prison, and working on laws at the state level, being able to collaborate with some of those elected officials there and get things done. And for me, why I think I'm the best person for this job. Someone, I know what it feels like. I know what we're feeling. And I'm not going to say that everyone else is insensitive to the issues that we're dealing with, but I know what it feels like to be looked over. I know what it feels like to have to struggle to get your business off the ground. And it seems like there's no place that you can turn to. Nobody can actually help you, and not understanding those things and how they work, and connecting the dots. I'm someone that's going to bring that to our city. There's a lot of talent here. Like, you guys are very talented in your respective spaces, right? And it seems like I'm just learning about what you do. Not that I am, but it's like hard to see all of this. How's it benefiting us as a city? And to be able to bring people in with this type of talent and retain it is what our city needs. A lot of people aren't getting the chance because of the old guard. Harrisburg's politics has been a certain way for about 4 or 5 decades. People rubber stamping things, the nepotism, the cronyism, all of that, and only a certain amount of people being able to have access to the resources that are here. And that's a problem. I'm someone that's been proven to share the resources. If we pool our resources in any urban city, anywhere that we are, and we will get strength. We'll have strength, and I think I'm gonna bring that to the table. Again, I'm proven it's been done already. So I think that seat will actually allow us to do more. So that's me,
Miss Elyse. Why you?
Yeah, why you should vote for me for city council. I think one of my favorite questions that I've actually been consistently asked in almost every room so far that I've been in is, what are you going to do, right? Council is a group of people who vote and make those type of decisions, right? And people see that Harrisburg needs elected officials who aren't in it for the politics, right?
Absolutely.
Who are actually serving in these roles because they want the community to be better off, because they want to see a city and a space, a place, this is home for us. We want this place and space to thrive. We want to have the kids to have that same experience, better experiences. And, I'm young. A lot of what has been Harrisburg's downfall in the past, and generally with politicians, right, who statistically are of a certain age, when people get into politics,
They stay
right?
too long.
They're they don't have as much stamina, right? They can't keep up with a certain pace, and they carry the trauma, or they're tainted with all that was, right? Everyone talks about Reed. I can't necessarily share like a direct experience from like, oh yeah, because of the mayor when I was in third grade or when I went to kindergarten, you know what I mean? So I don't carry that, those same fears. That's really what Harrisburg needs. Some fresh, innovative folks who want to move, like a sense of urgency. Folks who aren't just looking for their next job to make sure their bills get paid and, they show up to the meetings and call it job done.
Yeah. So people, somebody who looks at it more than just a position, right? It's like a duty.
People make, and I have nothing against anyone that makes a career out of politics. I'm not looking to do that. For me, again, the mention of Reed, I didn't know a lot of these things weren't working, and we were in a certain position because of the actions of the leadership that we had. I didn't realize that either, but once I started to pay attention to it, then I seen it. And I was like, okay. And a lot of us complain. You'll see in social media, people leave comments, or people complain. How many people want to do something about it? And for me to get to this point, I had to go through so many obstacles. There were so many hurdles that were put in my way, and I was determined not to stop because it's bigger than Lamont. This isn't about me. This is about our city, and we have an opportunity to move our city in a direction that can last for the next 50 years, that'll leave that imprint on our children and our grandchildren, legacy type stuff, and not
Legacy work.
Right, and not trying to enrich ourselves while doing it. I'm enriched by seeing us thrive. This is a city, again, right now it looks bad to a lot of people. There's a grand exodus down on 2nd Street. The businesses are packing up, and I've been meeting with a lot of these businesses, and they're distressed about a lot of the things, how much red tape they got to cut through to even do business with the city. That's something we have to change that. We want people to come. That's why she wanted to go to New York, because there was opportunity. We have to attract people here. This is the capital.
This segues into my next question. There's going to be some dirty work to do, right? Some cleanup, right? One of the things that I hear from a lot of folks in the area is just the crime, right? How do we, is it even like, because I feel like every time there's a new election, I mean, it's depending on what city you're in, you got to clean up the crime, no matter how much it is, how less it is. Harrisburg has its amount.
We're loaded right now.
We're loaded. Yeah, we're loaded. I didn't want to say loaded. I want to say its amount. So how do we even think about fixing that? Because yes, we can bring in businesses, we can, do all this positive stuff, financial moves, collaborations, but then we still have some cleanup to do. So how do we, for the people who, are asking this question to themselves, or who may think the people before failed this mission, how do we go about it? Like, what's the what do you think about it?
The ingredients is us. It's not so much of having 1 million police officers on the streets. Policing, we should be policing our own neighborhoods. So we have to take leadership in our communities and actually have that relationship with the law enforcement, so it's a two-pronged approach, where we both have to see things. The police are a reactionary tool. They usually come after something happens, so while it's happening, while it's taking place, it's on us in our communities. I remember growing up, where we talk about this, you hear this a lot, that village, where you can walk down the street. If I did something wrong, Miss Barb would do something to me.
Yeah.
Not have to worry about my mom trying to press charges or trying to do something to her. Because then when I got to home, my mom would give it to me too.
Yeah.
So we have to get back to that kind of living. And that's going to be the task, because we're in a whole new generation and culture. So the culture has shifted in our communities.
Yeah.
So when you see this uptick in crime, it's mainly the young people. It's in the teenagers in their early 20s. So what is that saying?
In and out of the schools.
Yes. And they're carrying it into the schools, which is dangerous. So to fight some of these crimes and that mentality, we got a lot of work to do. It's going to require mentorship. It's going to a youth advocacy. We have to find high quality after school programs, to trades, So when we talk about bringing up and building our businesses in the economy here, when I was a young person, right? Not that I'm old, but when I was younger.
Happy birthday,
Today's your birthday?
Not yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thanks. We won't discuss how old I am. Now, 50, man. I got to take that.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
50
A
years old.
solid 50. That's most people don't see that.
Absolutely.
Straight up.
Yeah. So again, I have experience and a plethora of knowledge of the city's history. So and knowing where we need to go. So when we're looking at trying to address crime and actions, we have to take preventive measures. So when you have economy, first of all, if someone's working and they have a job with a living wage, right, they're less likely to go out and commit crimes because they're able to take care of themselves. So we're in an impoverished area. And so if there's no jobs here, we had the steel mill, we had all types of jobs that were actually here, manufacturing jobs that were actually here in the city, where our parents could actually work and be able to provide for us. Now our education is down. We have to fix our school system. Then we have to look at our economy as well. So public safety is still a number one thing, and it should be for everybody in the workspace, in the school, wherever we are. It's important to feel that we can go somewhere and not have to look over our shoulders when something is bound to happen. So we have to fix our school system. So this is going to take a collaborative effort. We also have to fix the economy here, and then get back to our communities. We live in hoods. We got to put the neighbors back into the hood.
What's the expectation? Like, what can people expect when you guys win? Because that's just what's going to be, right? As far as some of the work being seen done, right? Because I think a lot of times people are like, are their expectations realistic? Obviously everything's not going to change day 1, day 2, day 3, right? What can you say to people that gives you a realistic amount of time to see change, right? Because I think when people are going out and they're asking for people to vote for them, outside of the people who may know you directly and the supporters, having people who are now being introduced to your strategies, to learning more about yourself, and they have to cast this vote, right? I think a lot of people think is 6 months enough time? Is a year enough time before they mentally jump ship, right? And I think because of the climate of Harrisburg, where there's it's quite a bit of work to be done. What would you say is realistically enough amount of time for people to say, hey, I actually voted for the right guy?
In the first couple months, and again, we have to make sure that we're educating the people that we're asking to vote for us, and making sure that they actually know how this works. So you can see real change in real time, quickly. The first 100 days by activating the police advisory committee board that we have. that's something, again, where our community is actually building a relationship with the police department, not actually overseeing them, but, that's the mayor's job, right? However, having the community get involved with what's happening in our city. They can actually have a relationship and talk with the police officers. Looking at our roads, because the city actually has our own equipment and we can go around and patch up some of our own streets. They also have to understand, like Cameron Street doesn't belong to Harrisburg. It's a state road, State Street, PennDOT. They own a lot of the streets around here. So we also have to look in those spaces and making sure that we're leaning on our state reps and all of these other people that we know who's supposed to be in the space to make sure that these things happen. So as a mayor, I can go right in, change the culture of our police department, automatically, because a city is a reflection of its leadership. So there are things that you can see immediately. Now, for me, for some of the infrastructure, we definitely have renderings. We have stuff here that should have been done. They just weren't implemented. I intend to implement those things, which will create jobs and create spaces for us to actually beautify. As we're beautifying our city, we're actually employing people and making sure that they're being taken care of and included in the economic growth of the city as well. So you can see change right away.
What the mayor can do, something that a lot of us, as a small business owner, and just people that know that we should be able to go downtown and voice our needs and get responses and answers, is all of the empty positions, the interim this and that.
Yeah.
And
that part.
And I think that has been crippling us these last couple years as far as progress and as far as like what you can see on a day-to-day basis.
You have to have a fully functioning government.
Yeah, the lack of collaborative leadership has led to vacancies in like our entire leadership of the city.
You said collaborative leadership, and earlier you spoke about there's things that you're just finding out that we do, right? Even though you've kind of known us and
right. Because I don't do social media.
Yeah.
To that point, and that's the way of the world today. That's how some people, they're looking, how can I turn the lights on to my business? It's that world. That's the world that you need to be in, so people can actually see and know what you're offering. But to your point, everybody needs to know what you do, right? Right here, because everyone's looking for services. Who can I get to record? Who can I get to take these photos of me? I'm doing this right here. I want to start a podcast, and how do I even learn about that? So if you're a teacher as well, and you're in your space as far as businesses, right? We want to see those thrive, and you know what that looks like. So you can sit on council, create legislation or ordinances or resolutions to actually help these small businesses. As working with the mayor, we can look to actually go to these banks and ask them to, hey, listen, we want you to start giving out startup
like
money.
M&T did.
Yes.
Their business incubator, yeah.
Absolutely. So these are things, and that's what I think, the collaborative piece. And then you have to have an administration that actually functions. I'm not going to hire my father, and I know he's an airplane. I'm not going to hire him as an airplane pilot, and I know he's a plumber. I just hired. He's flying planes because he's my dad. I'm not even getting on that plane because I know he doesn't know what he's doing. We have some of this stuff happening right here in our city. The nepotism that goes on. Please don't vote for Lamont Jones if you don't think I can do this job. Because I'm not here just for a title. You can still call me mine. You don't have to be like Mr. Mayor now. And I respect the spaces. Yes, I get that. But I'm just like you. I'm a taxpayer, homeowner, business owner, a father, all of those things, a son, a cousin, an uncle. I'm just a person that wants to, pay my dues to it's called a redemption. A lot of the things that I've done as a young man, you get older and you get a lot wiser if you put in the time to grow. You have to read. That's why I'm not in the TV. I do a lot of studying because now these things, I have to make them applicable to my life, and I have to make sure that I share them with others. So if you see me going through the things that I went through to get to this space, don't think it was overnight. This took some time. You see a lot of people jumping in politics. If he did it, I can do it. it's not that easy.
Mm.
You know, I'm not here just to be on TV every day.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
What do you think is the most challenging thing you guys are going to confront face to face when you guys win this election? Right? You know it needs to be done, but what do you think is going to be going to take the most work, the most strategic effort, you know, personnel, everything? What do you think is something that's like
the personnel? For me, would be, I don't think that's going to be challenging because we have a lot of talented individuals here that can actually step into as a business administrator. That would be the chief of staff, a finance director. We have all of these things here, right? But the thing I think that's going to be the most challenging is building up our economy, getting the businesses to come back to the city of Harrisburg. You know, a lot. I mean, again, some of it's just because of the leadership. They won't touch us. They got businesses all around us. We can go right across the river and see Mechanicsburg and Camp Hill thriving.
Yeah.
And that's like you could throw a rock and almost hit that place.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah,
you
right
could
across
drive
the
down
river.
to Lancaster, and Lancaster looks like the capital. They're on the move. Why aren't we having those intergovernmental relationships and seeing what these other municipalities are doing? Yeah. You know, and that's something else that I'm bringing to the table, that ability to be able to go and meet people and be personable and close deals and bring everyone to the table.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a gift. It's a skill.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I think a lot of us do have. Be able to have these open and transparent relationships, conversations about what we need and how we're going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think bringing up the economy and solving some of the issues for our youth. Those are those are going to be challenging because the people have to buy in,
mm-hmm.
and they have to believe that we can get this done.
Mm-hmm.
So again, just leading by example. I think those will be the two things: getting our youth back on the right track, and also creating spaces and opportunities for us and the people here in the city of Harrisburg
mm-hmm.
to thrive. So I think those would be the tough ones.
What are some specific things you want to assure that you tackle once you win? Like, absolutely, like, this is, even if I'm only here for a little bit, we're going to make sure this gets done. Like, something that you specifically see. Because, you know, you're in a space where, I mean, I've known you for a few years now. And, you know, we've done a pod a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, you've been the same energy I've seen from you. You always are trying to push the narrative forward and trying to help people with their business ideas. You know, you being in this business space primarily, you know, what's some specific things that you want to have accomplished when you win?
I'm super excited to, you know, move the needle forward when it comes to putting Harrisburg businesses first. I think that's something we can implement right away, utilizing data from the disparity study. We can, in a predominantly Black and brown city, that should be that's just bottom line. It just, numbers make sense. All of this, and your question earlier, you know, we're going to have to be reactionary at a pace that government hasn't moved before because of the national climate that we're in for the next 4 years. As a city, we have to be having breakfast with our state legislators. We have to be in tune with how Stilton's moving, what they're seeing coming in as issues and concerns as our community bleeds a block away from theirs, right? Yeah. Same thing with across the river. I totally agree. So if we can start trapping the dollars back in the community, right? Creating boomerang effects, right? Whatever we want to call it, the boomerang resolution, the Harrisburg resolution. I want us to hold our promises to spending dollars locally first. And that is the quickest way I think that we can see an economic boom in our communities. That's the quickest way we can see less vacant buildings, which means less empty blocks for mischief and, you know, kids on the street, which means more job opportunities for those kids who are graduating school, even in school. And that type of ripple effect, I think I would be able to walk away, even if for whatever reason I were to serve a single term or even not a full term, if I could accomplish that in the first 100 days, that I would consider.
Well, you would be able to do that, and I'm glad you asked that question for her because, you know, again, now you have the power of the pen, you know, and you have a council that's going to be functioning. You know, right now, again, like I said, we have a council and an administration that doesn't get along, you know, and we're making decisions, and some people, and this is going to be tough because you're going to have to make tough decisions that people don't understand. You know, you've seen some of them play out. The Heinz Center, it made it look like council didn't care about seniors, which wasn't true. You know, there was legislation that was written that didn't even mention the senior center. It just was saying senior programming. And there was $250,000 that council actually put there for senior citizens, right? And senior programming. However, this administration and the news, they even took in, there's no more investigative reporting. You know, that all of these things play a part into how our city moves. And then people will get upset and don't really know what's happening. So you can actually, even when you said the disparity study, we've been waiting for them to draw up a resolution that we can actually pass and utilize for the businesses. We're waiting on them to do that. But we can also do that too as council. Okay. So that's something that you can do when you go in, and that's the power of the pen again. Now, the implementation or the enforcement of it, that's a whole different piece, you know, but that's why you need an administration and a council to work together. And that's going to be the beautiful thing about this. We're going to have an administration and a council that can actually work together, which should say to all the voters and everybody that understands government that we're going to be able to get stuff done. We don't, because we're not going to be fighting. Are we always going to disagree? No, and that's good too, because we shouldn't always agree on everything. We have to, you know, we see things through different lenses today, you know, but that doesn't mean we can't come to a happy medium as well. So I think you're going to do a wonderful job, you know, in that space, because you know where the deficits are in that respective space of businesses. And now you put yourself out here and you put yourself in a space where you can actually do something about it. And so I challenge people to get involved and make sure that they pay attention and knows how governments work. You have to know how all of this works, all of these equipments work, right? You have a whole different language. Yeah. You start talking about, you was like, put the 50 and the 20. I'm like, what? It's for you speaking a whole nother language to me, right? Because I don't know about that. Every industry has a language. So we have to get up the queue, and up the speed in these spaces that we talk about. Because, again, you'll look at comments, people will make comments from a news article, and they really don't understand. We
saw that last night at the town hall for Broad Street Market.
Yeah, I had
people
to leave.
Talking about scaling historical, in a historical district. What you can do with your home is not what you're about to be able to do with a $20,000 square foot building that just burned down. And there was a gap you could tell between what the community wanted, what was being presented in the front of the room, and there was no tool or mechanism to bridge that gap, right? People in the community were like, we don't care about the zoning codes. Go back to the old ones. Make it look exactly like it did before the fire. Right. And, the contractors, they're not prepared with the language to communicate
that to the people.
And we just sit at a standstill of, well, the administration is already paying these people to move forward with this project that might take a couple years to get done, but the community can sit back and watch. But the capacity the current administration has to take note, intake that information, and then make a plan according to that, right? We see it with the comprehensive plan that's just sitting there, with the disparity study that's just sitting there. Even with the language in the plan, for whatever reason, things aren't getting implemented.
So how do you guys handle pressure? Right, like as humans, even though you guys are about to be in a new position, how do you guys handle pressure? Just
they say
irritation, just because you guys are first of all, the climate is different, right? We have a new president, right? So that energy's there, right? And then when you guys step into this new role, people are going to have expectations. There's going to be a lot of pressure. How do you handle and how do you go from not spiraling out, because everybody's going to be looking up to you guys. You know what I mean?
Care for one. We definitely got to make sure, even in any position of servitude, you got to watch it. You got to be careful of the burnout. I constantly go. I can do like a 9-month run just doing stuff for other people while my business suffers. And then I look back and now I'm ready to take my business or take my stuff off the shelf. But then here comes something else. Then I put this back on the shelf. That starts to burn you out, right? The pressure you could see from my first election, what I had to go through again to get here. Every turn they were coming for Lamont Jones, right? And I had to deal with that pressure. I remained humble. I made sure I had a wise counsel around me, and I fought. When they say pressure can break pipes, it also can make a diamond. You understand? So balancing that and having someone, having that circle around you to make sure that you're protected from a lot of the other pressures that are out there. So there's blind spots that I can't see everything. So you really need a good group of people around you to make sure that that pressure doesn't crush you or crush everybody. Because if it crushes me, it crushes us all. You don't want no one to go in there and break down because things are hard. My life has been that way. So I think I'll be able to handle it fairly.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, Lamont mentioned wise counsel. For me, that's everything. We talked last. We're talking about creating safety nets. The lifestyle of an entrepreneur is nuts in itself. I think I'm anticipating. This is my first campaign, but I am anticipating it being similar, if not even more hectic, even a stronger amount of pressure. But I will be relying on my capacity to build teams, create teams, utilize teams, and that will be that'll be a big part of how I plan to move. So thanks in advance to all my friends and family who have honestly been intentionally checking in on me and showing up. But I couldn't be more blessed, I think, this first few weeks of getting signatures and the amount of people that have showed up and taken things off my plate, gotten things done. And
that's another piece. We have to learn to delegate, because I'm used to being the guy that does everything. And it's tough for me to because you don't want things that's in your grasp to fail. Right? So I'm like, I'm not gonna wait. I'm gonna go get this done. And they're like, wait a minute, you got people, and that also can lead to the burnout too. So you just have to be mindful of that. But I think that's gonna be huge for you, because you have people that you can bounce things off of. Even though this is your first campaign, you're not foreign to what's going to be in front of you. I promise you, you're not going to be foreign to it. It's just how you go about, connecting the dots or solving some of these issues, and all of these things it's conversation. Really, you just sit down and you talk. Look for understanding of what it is that's in front of you. I have one question for every piece of legislation that comes from in front of me, and it's always, how is this going to benefit the people that I serve? That's my number one question. And if it doesn't look right, I'm not just going to write it off because it doesn't look right. Maybe there's something that I'm not understanding, and that's when you seek that wise counsel and really make sure that you're comprehending. Okay, now am I understanding this correctly? You're saying that we want to move $500,000 over here so we can have a spray park. Nah, that doesn't make sense. I think we can take $500,000 and do something else with it in our community. Things like that. Yeah, the pressure's going to be on.
What time
I felt it.
Okay.
I felt the pressure. Like there was a big decision that came up in the first couple months. I'm just getting seated, and here come the Broad Street Market issue. Oh my goodness. Oh man, the people in Midtown, they were calling, emails. It was like, because they really thought it was council. again, we have the power of the purse. We're the safeguard. We're council is there to make sure that the administration doesn't do what Reed did to us, put us in a $300 million deficit. And we're still fighting to get out of that right now, right? So that's the power of council, to not let the mayor or the administration overspend the taxpaying dollars. And then also writing that legislation, those ordinances or resolutions, are creating the resolutions to actually better serve the people. So the pressure's going to be there, but I'm saying you're not there alone. So
yeah,
we'll be fine.
Yeah,
we'll be fine.
So as we close in, a couple of things. What can people do that are going to see this? How can they be involved in your campaign? Drop some websites. How can they do their part and support?
Yeah, for me, I really want them to go to my website. I want people to go to the website because it's actually some new technology that we're working with. You can actually interact. You can see my bio. You can see my ideas, the plans that we have. You can ask it anything. You can ask you'll see a little robot come up there. You can just say anything you want to know about the campaign. If it's about how does he see infrastructure, it's going to give you an answer in real time.
Nice. And that website is
LamontJonesForMayor.com.
Okay.
So I really want to steer people to that. Then I also have, of course, Lamont Jones for Mayor on Facebook, and then Lamont Jones for Mayor on Instagram as well. So
okay. And you?
I would love for everyone who's watching this that's never voted before, go register to vote. Right now, you can do it from your computer. Go register to vote. If you're not registered to vote, you know what I mean? That's the least you could do is be registered. The next step is actually voting. Showing up. If you're a registered Democrat or Republican, you can vote in the primaries, which are coming up May 20th. Mark your calendars, May 20th. Make the vote. There's you can send your votes in early. There's mail-in ballots. And beyond that, ask questions. Show up to a meeting or two. Be engaged, right? The government is a reflection of the people, and that reflection only happens through engagement. So if you have a space where you're helping somebody, helping a group of people, whether you're doing really important things that the city is benefiting from, like, you can come to city council, come to a city council meeting Tuesday evenings downtown at the MLK building. But my team, we're looking for anyone who's willing to make a few phone calls, anyone who's willing to knock on a few doors. And we're also looking for financial support. You can donate to Friends for Elyse Irvis. We have a website. It's ElyseIrvis.org. And I'm on social media as well, Friends of Elyse. And I would love to do coffee or tea. I'm usually downtown at Culture and Commerce Co-working Space, also known as La Cultura. The address is 19.5 North 4th Street. I got coffee and tea on hand. Would love to talk more about the future of Harrisburg with you.
Well said. So we have to do this again. I say this every time we do a podcast. I'm learning a lot about you guys every time we're turning these mics on. And I want to say congrats to everything you guys accomplished today, because I know you from amazing things. I know you from amazing things. And yeah, man, everybody check this and share this interview with your friends, family. Even if you just share it in your timeline, that costs nothing. It brings awareness. It opens up the table for more discussions. And definitely comment. Leave your thoughts. We're going to try to do some more of these up until it's go time. So thank you guys for being on Behind the Business again.
Appreciate you giving us the opportunity.
Oh yeah, this is Behind the Message, and the message is out there. We're going to continue to do these things. So thank you guys so much for being on the show.
Yep.